Good afternoon, my wonderful apprentice enterprise architects. This is Professor Bauer coming to you week 10 as we wrap up our look at enterprise architecture. How are trends affecting the EA um, practice? And things are getting, it seems to be more complex, and yet things are getting less complex. We have cloud that was supposed to be a simplifying move, but now we have hybrid, public, private, etc. And with COVID work from home, even more um, cause for VPNs or SD-WAN. We have not only standard iterative project management, but also agile. AI is finding its way into just about every practice. Um, I actually heard an AI engine that writes fiction, and some of the fiction that it wrote was actually better than some of the fiction that I read. So we'll talk about that this 10th week, and lot to cover. So let's just jump in. Something that I said a long time ago. I'm not sure who else said it, but I'm claiming it. The last act is not always the best act, but it's always the last act. I try to say that on the last week of class, knowing that things can be a blur sometimes, but I really hope you've had a good sense of the role of what an enterprise architect does, the challenges of greater complexity in IT, and even the challenges of communication and how to do that more effectively. And so each of you has made good progress in this, and so hopefully you'll take away something that at least will be able to allow you to have a good conversation with the IT people when they confidently proclaim that this one last upgrade or new system is going to solve all our problems. I've been around the block a few times, and that rarely is true. So let's do our best on this last act together, okay? All right. The agenda is how ICT trends affect enterprise architecture. We'll look at that. We'll also see as some of them are now going to be incorporated into the Arch Assurance case study. How do we add those? And we'll get real practical in that area as well. And don't worry about the discussion. If there are lecture materials that are not complete, don't worry about them. We're going to be fixing them at the end of the term. All right, question for you. And I don't mind toward the end of your paper weighing in on TOGAF. Is it all that good? Has it been helpful? Has it been painful to discuss? In the class on Wednesday night, I want you to weigh in. Useful or not useful? And we'll take a quick look at that and see whether or not this is helpful. And we'll go from there. I did want to pass along some research that I accidentally acquired a few months ago during a meeting of the Open Group. And I don't think I'm a member of the Open Group. I joined as an academic, and they were taking polls about how many of their own company or their clients were actually using TOGAF in terms of their own. In other words, were they drinking their own Kool-Aid, as it were, and were they actually using this? And the results may surprise you. Here's the first question. You'll see the bar graph. This is April 2021, a few months ago. These are members of the Open Group. You would think them probably the most supportive of TOGAF as any other group that would be around. So they are the most enthusiastic membership organization sponsoring TOGAF. But, and this is true of the Katusev book, who said, not too many people are living what they're preaching, so to speak. Um, Here you see, just in terms of TOGAF and Agile, um, EA is key to support Agile developments. All of 13%, that's a pretty significant sample, 280 respondents said no. In other words, going fast in an area that's difficult to understand is not a good solution. EA can be delivered in an agile way. A few more people said, yeah, maybe. Um, but, the TOGAF standard can be applied to support enterprise agility. Only 20% of the respondents. Um, in other areas, in terms of digital transformation, which is a topic we've looked at in terms of um, our discussions in the Archie case, EA is a key factor for going into digital transformation, 13%. TOGAF standards supports is an important factor to support, only 10%. Um, and, can you do one? Basically, can you do one without the other? Good question there. And then finally, this is the real question, is your organization currently using the TOGAF standard to support digital transformation? 28% said yes, 33% said no, and 40% either didn't know or didn't answer. So it, I don't want to throw TOGAF under the bus. There are a few alternatives to it. And trying to capture all the complexity in enterprise architecture when a time that IT is as complex as ever by several factors, it really is difficult to consider what any alternative would be. But for many, it is clearly not the sunum bonum, the perfect good, as Augustine said. It is not the goal that everyone, in order to be an enterprise architect, you have to do everything in TOGAF. So I hope when you have a chance to evaluate the role of TOGAF and Archie mate in this in this paper, you'll say, okay, this was helpful. This forced me to think about all these different areas. Or you know what? It was just too much, and I could never explain it to someone else. We'll talk some more about this in the class on Wednesday. The portfolio assignment is putting it all together. This is week 10, and so you have what's called a portfolio assignment, and you basically have an ability to show what you've learned in this class to an existing employer who's saying, why are we spending this money on you? Or as you're looking around, and maybe you have to look around for another job, you'll be able to share some of the examples that you have created. So you could create a free DU portfolio. I would recommend that you create your own portfolio. IT departments at universities are famous for needing space and not having anyone respond when they say, does anybody want this? So if you really think the work is worth saving, save it to your own, because you will care more for it than someone else. Not inveighing against the DUID IT department, but we're talking 5-10 years from now, who knows? So keep that in mind. So the purpose of this assignment, we revisit the case study from earlier modules starting in week 6, and now we're adding yet another new element, cloud-based AI, ML, machine learning capabilities that are going to feed on this IoT data that we're capturing from all these probes. That's going to allow us to custom design an insurance risk profile based on hard data and not just demographics or age or something like that. So I remember on insurance there was a question: do you jump out of airplanes as a parachutist? And you can only get so specific about those kinds of things. So anyway, we'll good luck with that, Archie Assurance. So you're going to have to enhance this study and now reflect the fact that this American company is now going into other domains that has to keep compliance with the United States, California's CCPA, the General Data Protection Regulations, GDPR in the EU, and data localization for countries like India and China and others. So very complex. Putting it all together is what this assignment is all about. Let's get real specific on this right now. Here's where you address any missing elements. Anything that was missing in your papers that was pointed out to you on the grades. And then you're going to put together a cohesive response reflecting all these elements in each of the modules and putting the collected work in an architecture layer discussion, making sure you add the last stuff for the 10th section. So you're enhancing, you're taking everything and you're putting it together in a way that's clear and coherent. So what Professor Bauer told you week 6, get a table of contents, have an abstract, hopefully is going to make a lot more sense right now. Sorry about my barking dog. It's the 10th week and they just want to say hi. So I would suggest that you create a checklist and make sure that you hit all the deliverables. Don't forget a week or don't skip something because all those things go into the grade. It's very complex. So I'm going to use rock music to tell you 2 different approaches to this assignment. This one is Stairway to Heaven, Led Zeppelin song, or How to Do a Great Job, okay? The key to this assignment, which was several weeks of additional stuff added to an existing report, arrange and organize. Make the corrections that have been pointed out, arrange and organize. This is not something that you're going to write 5,000 words from scratch, okay? So clean up all the formatting. Make sure the table lists, the titles, the formatting, the page numbers, they go from page 1 to the end in the same place. Your headers, your headlines, your titles, everything is lined up and it's tight, okay? Someone told me the final version looks like you're ready to hand it to your boss, but then your boss tells you a day later that he doesn't have time to read it. So he just emails it over to the CEO. I've had that happen. I kid you not. So be careful what you do. Make sure it's the best quality you can put together. 5,000, 7,000 words, you will probably find it close to that already since it's 4 different assignments. Don't forget assignment 10. In the rush to put everything together, make sure you touch all the bases for assignment 10. You may want to keep it in one place just so you can find it there. Make sure you check the UCall format and style requirements, the short version that we got. So this is Stairway to Heaven, and I promise I will not sing it. The alternative is, you guessed it, Highway to Hell. All right, how to do a lousy job. Yes, I am sarcastic. So here's a couple of things to keep in mind. Whatever you do, don't clean up the Archie Assurance documents after 5 separate assignments. Leave different fonts, margins, chart sizes. That way it looks lousy. Besides there's something new this weekend on Netflix or whatever your streaming choices are. This is a portfolio project. Keep that in mind, okay? So let's step up our game if that's a challenge. Why tell a story or lift your focus to the big picture? In other words, make sure you do that. You may do it at the end of the paper, said, this is an ambitious attempt. Given all this change and given the IT industry's absolutely stunning performance levels in this area, more than half of them fail. Look up Forbes magazine IT project management and you'll get data on this. Why have something added with more complexity? Or if you're going to do the change, you're going to do it all. You're not going halfway. And so this is, a good place to tell the story. All right, so Good details on the implications, the extra work involved, the legal frameworks, but what is the payoff? Improved resilience. We're getting rid of customers, insurance customers, who are only going to die on us or wreck their cars. We'll have data that will be a safer, more insurable, more predictable data set of people we can insure. We can make money on this. So keep that in mind. So I mentioned that I'm sarcastic, and I am. I'm really both a Led Zeppelin and an AC/DC fan. So, but you're too good to do just a halfway job on this. So make sure you do a great job. A stairway to heaven means only a few can travel on it at a time. On the other hand, a highway is easy. You can fit lots of cars. So keep both of those options in mind. All right. The rubric, as always, is your friend. Remember, this is a 300-point um, exam. 10% penalty if you are late. And that is a forcing function because I have to get these grades in real soon. Keep that in mind. Okay. I want to thank you for being here in a great class. It was wonderful. Please finish your class evaluation and tell everybody what a great professor you have in Professor Bauer. He is trying to get you to be a good enterprise architect and not just obey what a book tells you. So keep in touch. If there's anything I can do to help you in your career, recommendation, link to you in LinkedIn, whatever, please let me know. Take care. Blessings, and we will talk to you soon. See you in class on Wednesday night. Bye-bye now.